Hello and welcome to another podcast, now renamed Talkin Shop, joined by Russell from Truck Tech UK.
My name's Russell, I'm an independent DAF specialist.
We hope you enjoy. Well, thanks for coming.
No problem.
So, how long have you been a tech for then?
I've been round trucks since I was small, really, to be honest. But as a technician for DAF, I was 2013, I think I started with DAF, and I worked on nights. I was just a nobody, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
But you've always been around commercial vehicles?
My family was a bodybuilder, commercial vehicle coach builders. So I've been around trucks since they were made of aluminium and wood, basically. So it's been a long lifetime of vehicles, really, to be honest.
How long have you been with DAF?
Just over 10 years, about 10 years sort of thing.
Would you say starting with the OE, starting with the dealer, is the best thing for a technician?
Almost definitely.
It's almost the natural progression of one, if you look at it.
Yeah, as much as I served my apprenticeship at a fleet fleet garage, certainly as regards to technology and education, obviously they've got dealer standards to meet, and it's within their best interest to have you at a certain level. So, but if you take trucks of today, especially going into the EV side of things, you need the information at your fingertips. You need the support of the dealer,
the training
of the manufacturer, the training side of things, and obviously the tools to do it. So I think if you were starting as an apprentice, you definitely need to be looking at going into a dealership.
Did you start as an apprentice then?
I was an apprentice, but I was not at a dealership. It was at a fleet workshop. So I have an MVQ, not a specific qualification such as DAF or whatever.
So you already had some idea before you went to...
Yeah, well, I was working on ERF and Foden when I was an apprentice sort of thing. It was very much throw me in at the deep end, put this M11 back together, or it's in bits. Yeah. It was all reactive maintenance. It wasn't preventative. So you always ended up at DAF then, going Foden to well, it was such a shame that we obviously lost them marks from the British side of things, and obviously it became MAN and DAF. But I've always liked DAF as a product. I mean, it's a 30% market share. Yeah, everybody seems to moan about them but that's because there's so many of them on the road.
Yeah. Absolutely, they're everywhere.
On that note, I mean, how do you think things have changed? Well, especially from even 2013 to where they are now, have trucks changed massively?
Most definitely. Yeah. I mean, I remember ABS on ERF when I was an apprentice was a relay, and now you look at the calculations that it has to do with the mass of the vehicle in order to stop the vehicle now with EBS ABS now into EBS, and ABS now, obviously, and the more technology has progressed with lane departure warning systems and everything else, and the way things are going to be going with these black box flight recorders, monitoring your driving, telematics, fleet management system. It's all progressing at a rapid rate of knots.
Driver assistance systems, or autopilot, what you want to call it, emergency brakes, and cameras now rather than wing mirrors, and
obviously all these systems are connected with LIN or CAN now, which again has cut down on the amount of wiring in the vehicle, but it's more systems that people need to learn to understand to diagnose a vehicle.
And that's why, again, if you start life as a technician, learning with the OE, learning with DAF or whoever it is, you're going to get exposed to all of those different elements of newer vehicles.
Obviously, new vehicles, they've got 3 years guarantee with the manufacturer anyway. Yeah. So people in the aftermarket won't necessarily touch them unless they've said, no, we don't want your maintenance package on the vehicle, but it's still under warranty, for example. But you still need a decent piece of kit to be able to cope with all the systems that are on the vehicle, and finding a decent diagnostic computer to cope with that is
a challenge.
Yeah, it is a challenge. It is. Well,
that's why we've got Jaltest, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, I suppose the training side, the training aspect that we've discussed. Obviously, you're going to get exposed to it all at the OE, the manufacturer, the dealer, however you want to call it. But then it's all the tools to be able to do the job now as well. And obviously you just asked what's changed with trucks. Well, I bet you the amount of tools you needed back then compared to what you need now to do the job well.
You look, you've got digital oscilloscopes now, like Picoscope. Obviously you need to be able to not just be able to read voltages now, you also need to be able to look at what the scope patterns are, or whether you're dealing with resistance as well. And then when you start thinking about the voltages involved in EVs as well.
Yeah.
You know, you've really got to know what you're doing, hence the qualifications that you need to work on these vehicles.
Yeah.
And to isolate the systems competently.
Yeah.
So you're not just turning an isolator off or the Hivel system and thinking, oh, I can work on this high voltage system now.
Yeah.
Because you won't be there.
No.
Yeah.
So in education is really important.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose going forward, that's where, you know, our products, I suppose, is going to be even stronger, is because the motor itself is an electronic system.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, people just think changing, they just put batteries in this or a
just
motor.
replace them.
Yeah.
But, you know, took the diesel engine out and put that, but it's not the case,
No.
is it?
No.
No.
You've got AC to DC converters, you've got an electric air compressor, you've got
Sensors everywhere.
BMS, you name it, it's in there to run the truck.
Yeah.
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 So it's a lot of systems that's involved in it, really.
Let's take you back then. Let's say you are just starting your apprenticeship now.
Yeah.
In today's world, what are the biggest challenges do you think a new or a technician starting out are facing today?
Not only they're trying to learn what a truck is, what it's about, what basic mechanical functions of the vehicle, diffs, engine, gearbox. You then got your electrical side of things, which is invisible to an apprentice or a new technician.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to learn all these Ohm's law. I've got to understand resistance. I've got to understand potential voltage. I've got to understand why this is a network and this runs on CAN and this other network is 12 volts and it's LIN. You know, and then when you certainly have issues where you have the bus go down, for example, well, where'd you go then? You know, where do I start looking? So it's very important that you have a methodical approach to trying to diagnose customers' concerns.
So while you've been at DAF, then obviously you've been running truck tech now for, what is it, a year?
Yeah, just over a year now. Obviously that just come about because one day I thought, this traction issue with this gearbox, I thought, I'm gonna record this sort of thing.
Let's show people how to...
Yeah, just look what I
Rectify.
found, basically, because I could most probably go to one person in the dealership and he'd be interested because it'd be another Master Tech.
Yeah.
Everybody else would be like, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll put this on the internet. And then obviously I've procured this following of people who were interested in diagnosing vehicles.
Yeah.
So,
As you say, people who maybe not had the training you've had through being in an OE, you know, it's quite useful.
You've got the fleet environment where they've got these trucks. Their boss has bought trucks that they need to look after,
and now go and fix them.
And they go, here's the truck. Well, it's just got 4 wheels and an engine. You can fix that, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not, I need all this backup. I need all this support. I need a tool that can have repeat results and a company that can be behind me that could possibly guide me through this and help me fix this truck, even though I don't know every in and out about the system on the vehicle, as say a vehicle manufacturer would, for example.
Yeah. And a big reason why, you know, much like you do with your advice, we sell the tool. We also have to do the same thing as well. We have to support the customers in things they find, processes they should follow. So you share a very same process, really.
Ethos, So I mean, I'll help anybody. Yeah. Because it's my way of paying it forwards, really. Yeah. I've spent all this time learning this knowledge. It's not something like, granted, I used to have to, if you can't remember it, I'll be able to reference it, basically. Yeah. But I just want to pay what I've learned forwards to people who are stuck because I was in the same boat once upon a time, in a fleet garage, going, what the hell is ZBR fault, or, you know, what's FFR? But now I've come out the other side of that. I've put myself to it and got through it, and now I'm more than happy to help other people, you see. Yeah. And that's why I started doing videos.
So obviously you're using Jaltest. You've obviously had lots of experience with Davey. Obviously you've used the Eclipse vehicle support, I imagine, over the years as well.
Oh, definitely.
How do you feel with Jaltest? You know, do you like using it? Well, obviously you like using it. You've done videos on it, but how do you feel Jaltest compares with the Davey system, for example? And so what are the key differences? And
I'd say I'd be able to spend 99% of my day with Jaltest and not have any issues whatsoever diagnosing vehicles. Yeah. Whether it's a DAF, Mercedes, Volvo, a trailer, for example, because I've got trailer videos on Jaltest valves.
Yeah.
And literally, I think the tool is very, very capable.
Yeah.
The only thing the dealers have got is that they program certain ECUs.
Yeah.
But in the real world, would you really want to be programming an engine ECU? You know, your boss has just spent £1,000 on an engine ECU.
Yeah.
Program this.
That's it.
You've got a tool, program it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or would you really want to be... I would much rather a competent person or a dealer...
Yeah.
You could do the diagnosis. I've got no communication with the engine ECU.
Yeah.
I'd much rather them come to the site with their dealer tool, which is up to date, which has got all the relevant latest information in it, and program that ECU, rather than have some other tool, for example, or something that's out of date that isn't able to do that. Like,
I mean, we often talk about these clone tools, don't we?
Oh God, yeah.
And actually the damage they can do, and I'm sure you found problems yourself with these products, with these clone.
Well, I've spoken to many a technician at all sorts of different manufacturers who have complained that they'll get a truck in and it's riddled with faults that really take some deep diving with the diagnostic tool, with the Davy or the Mancats or whatever it is that they're using, and then they do find that there's a software issue because it's been done by a counterfeit product, or it's not worked, or it's wiped an ECU or whatever.
I also find they're not as in-depth as Jaltest or a dealer tool, because the reason I say I can get through most of my day with Jaltest is because I feel it offers you the same sort of functionality as a dealer tool.
Yeah.
And especially with like live data or...
smart guides.
Exactly. Or even the wiring diagrams. My God, the wiring diagrams on Jaltest, I don't know of any other company out there that does wiring diagrams. I mean, you can look at Autodata or whatever else, or Haynes Pro.
Yeah.
Nothing comes close to Jaltest's wiring diagrams.
We were talking as well. We were talking yesterday, weren't we, about actually, Jaltest, and many people know Jaltest have got those block diagrams on there. But actually, if you go into diagrams and don't select a system, you are presented with the online diagrams as well. And it's like, I was on Volvo yesterday with 97-page wiring diagram and with wiring numbers. And,
So going back to what we were saying earlier, really, if you've had your training in the OE and you're used to looking at these 50, 60, 70 pages of wiring diagram,
use Jaltest,
it will look very similar to that.
That's what I mean. I can use DAF's wiring diagrams. I was taught to use them, but I can quite easily go to Jaltest's wiring diagrams and I can go, that's KL30, that's KL15, that's CAN, that's this, that's that component. It's not a problem. And the fact you can click on the component and it'll display the component location or a picture of the component on the diagram. I think it's great.
That's I think the biggest battle sometimes, isn't it? If you're not DAF orientated, you plug into a Volvo or a Mercedes, you know what you're looking for, but what does it look like? Where is it?
Yeah, of course.
And
what do they call it?
Yeah,
we were just saying the abbreviations, or what you call it, an APU on a DAF is an APM on a Volvo, and a system check for brake pad wear might be in the brakes on Volvo, but actually it's under live data on a totally different ECU on a DAF. So I suppose as a multi-brand tool as Jaltest, we have so like you said, 95% of the functionality a dealer tool has. We just don't tend to get too much involved. We don't have much programming that maybe a dealer tool will have, like engine or safety ECUs, airbags, etc. But there are certain ECUs that you can program, like on the trailers, for example. We can actually copy and paste. We can program new valves, program new ECUs. But actually, if the old ECU is fried, no matter whether you're working on a Haldex, Wadco, Norbrems, Gen 1, 2, 3, whatever, we can actually program them from scratch as well. And
that's where your support comes in upstairs. I think it's great that people can just pick up the phone and actually have a conversation with somebody rather than feeling completely stupid and be like, oh, I can't fix this. At least you can phone someone here and they'll talk to you as if I'm talking to you now, sort of thing, and they won't treat you any differently.
No, exactly.
We often get it with program. I don't know if you get this on the road. When we're showing people the capabilities of Jaltest, and we do touch on the topic of programming, and we show some of the ECUs that Jaltest can program, sometimes you get a bit of an uncomfortable feeling from the technician that that's not maybe something they want to get too involved in, because they think it's quite it's like rocket science. And especially when you're copying the data from one ECU and pasting it onto another, because that's really what we're doing. Maybe they don't realize actually you can call the Eclipse vehicle support and say, look, I'm having an issue here. I've fitted a new ECU because the old one has failed. Can I have some help copying that data onto that new ECU, and that's something obviously we can do for them via TeamViewer.
Well, from there right to the most simpler tasks, I don't know where that function is on the kit. That's what we can do. We can remote onto the PC and do it with them. So I always say this in such a way that it's constant training for them as well. You know, we can stand there for an hour, 2 hours showing you how it all works, but actually when you're on a vehicle doing a task, that's when you learn, because you're watching it happen in front of you.
People think being a master tech is all you do is click buttons on a laptop all day, but the reality is the master tech's there for when everything goes wrong. They know the systems and processes that are required to get the vehicle back on the road, and that's where they come into their own.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. It's like all that argument that you know, having trades, that actually that 20-minute job that I've just done for you has took me 20 years to acquire that experience to be able to do that job in 20 minutes. And obviously the same relates to vehicles, as a master tech being able to program a new ECU or diagnose a fault that actually might have taken somebody who is not a DAF specialist or is trained to find the fault.
Because at the end of the day, all the customer wants, or all the fleet owner wants, is it rectified as quick as possible. So if you know your stuff on the specific vehicle for DAF, for example, you should be able to make a competent diagnosis within an hour.
Well, that's it.
Or if it's a multi-franchise or multi sort of fleet vehicle, like say, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing with Merck sometimes. I'll just pick the phone up and phone you guys, and you'll be like, right, follow. It's not scripted. You know, I can generally tell people now it's not scripted. You will help me through the fault. And again, it gets fixed at the end of it. I had one. It was a suspension issue for a Mercedes. I went through all the custom parameters. And I was able to use the old ones and put them in the new ECU. And I used Jaltest for that.
And it's experience, isn't it? You know, let's face it, you've heard of most cases. So when someone phones up saying, I've got this issue with a DAF, you'll go, actually, I've already got a good idea what that could be.
It's all right having silver bullets. You know, it's most probably going to be this. But don't get me wrong, you should be testing. If you think it's a VTG actuator, you should be testing powers, grounds, and can. And if all them are right, then you can say, you can call it and say it's this.
Well, we know it's still happening, but how many technicians, fitters, how many people do you think are still loading up the parts can and just going, well, I could check all that, or I could take a stab in the dark and replace that part?
It still happens all the time. This is why education is so important. I know we've banged on about apprentices and where they should start. I mean, there's not enough apprentices coming through to start with. So we've got this aging workforce that's slowly diminishing anyway. Because at the end of the day, don't get me started on wages for technicians. But don't get me started. But
we won't. We'll save that for another one.
So you come out with your Jaltest. Is your multi-brand sort of fleet diagnosis. It does pretty much what a dealer tool does. You give it to, I don't know, Mr. 50-year-old technician. He doesn't really want anything to do with it, to be honest. And this is why the support's so important. And the education is so important for people, in my eyes. And this is where the industry needs to go. If we're not getting people through the door, we need to be trying to educate the people we've got now. And I know things are moving on at a rapid pace of knots with technology. It's trying to make this transition from, I've got fault codes in front of me from a system scan that I've just done through VIN search on Jaltest. I haven't got a clue what any of this is about. To then trying to get that through to them that they can pick up the phone or they can use the online side of things, and you sort of guide yourself through to a diagnosis of the component that's actually at fault. They've just got to get some fundamentals down of, I need to test this for resistance, or I should be seeing this as a known good, which Jaltest has on it as well, or I should be having this many parts per million for a NOx sensor, so I should be seeing this and I'm seeing that and it's not. This is a component, not. We'll change the DPF, we'll change the SCR system, we'll put an AdBlue pump on it. We're $7,000 into this job and it's still not fixed. So,
which is quite a common thing, actually.
It's always NOx sensors. Oh, we replaced the NOx sensor, but we still got the fault.
What did you replace it with? It was non-genuine, by the way. It was £100 instead of 500. Oh, that's why it doesn't work then, doesn't it?
Is there a certain trucks that don't behave or behave, should we say, more badly with aftermarket parts than others? Like, some people are, no, we just use aftermarket parts on this and we have no problem. But I tend to get certain fleet operators that will say, with this particular truck, they do not like aftermarket knock sensors, so we don't bother. We only get genuine ones now. We've had X amount of cases where it doesn't work, so we don't bother anymore.
I had a DAF 85 come in. It was a FAX, I think it was. So I can't remember what the hell it was now, to be honest, off the top of my head. But obviously, you have one colour for knocks before and one colour for knocks after. Yeah. And they'd put 2 knocks before sensors on it, and they were non-genuine sensors.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So the customers paid a mobile guy to come out. Yeah. They've charged them 2 non-genuine knock sensors, and the vehicle's still got the fault. Yeah. And they've disappeared into the night. Yeah. And then they still end up paying again to bring it into a dealer. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like,
for a genuine part.
These faults are these are the faults. Yeah. This is what's wrong, and they can't believe what's going on. Yeah. And this is why people need education.
Yeah, of course. What's it like getting parts at the moment?
DAF parts. It depends what it is, because obviously we know there's a massive electronics issue.
Of course. Yeah.
ECUs, you need fault codes.
Yeah.
Again, I'd like to think that a dealer would accept Jaltest's fault codes as evidence for warranty issues or something along that.
They're the same codes. Yeah, our descriptions, but we actually do use genuine Volvo DAF fault codes.
You shouldn't have a problem. With the amount of error occurrences. Oh well, that's enough for this. Or you know.
I don't think back in the day, years ago, we used to often get, my dealer's told me if I use this, I'm going to avoid my warranty. We very rarely get that now. And I think it's because, as you've sort of pointed out, majority of OE workshops want to be that one-stop shop, in which case the closest you're going to get to be able to providing a DAF level service on a DAF is having a Jaltest for multi-brand work. Yeah. So if you're working on third-party manufacturers, Jaltest is the closest you're going to get to having access to all the dealer tools, which I don't know anybody who can do that anyway and have genuine dealer software for every manufacturer. So
like I've dealt with Eclipse since I was an apprentice. I remember you supplying us with a Texas kit, for example. And it did do majority. I mean, we've moved on 10 years sort of thing. And obviously with you now supplying Jaltest as a tool, which I think is a much better product. It's more fluidic. It's more user friendly.
Yeah, I just feel like with the Jaltest, you pointed in the direction of repair, and they've just got the knack down on the software of there's your fault. That's when it happened. There's the components that's related to the error, not component that's causing the error, where it's located on the wire diagram, what you need to be checking for. And obviously with the smart guides as well on there now, it's all path to repair.
Yeah, where sometimes it might show a knock sensor. Well, that's the end of the path. Actually, the process is going through items that could have caused that to fail.
We don't condemn parts. We help you condemn the part, I suppose. By following these checks. And that's where the smart guide is going to play a big feature in it. Being able to, I was on a Volvo the other day and it showed me, right, the first thing we want you to do on this AdBlue pump fault was to do a system test. And the Jaltest was saying, well, I want 3,000 millibar from this test, or 43.51 PSI or whatever it was. Go do the test. The Jaltest then logs the measurement from that test, and then you get a yes, no. Did you get the results? Yes. Did you get the results? No. And it will lead you to the next step.
It goes to the step that is relevant to the result.
So it's filling in what the technician is missing, really. You need this methodical process. As much as you can have within 3 clicks on Jaltest, I can identify the vehicle, identify the systems, and have a list of faults. The majority of people is, where do you go from there then?
Of course.
And the fact that you've now got a system that is methodically taking you through a diagnosis of active faults. You're filling in the void of education, really. And that's anybody can change a component.
We used to get that a lot. Oh, that's great. We used to get so far with Jaltest, and it was still it was a fantastic tool back in the day, but that's what people were asking for is, but on the dealer I used to get guided stuff. And it was this constant comparison with what the dealer could do back in the day. And now with those smart guides, again, it's even closer to what the OE software can give the technician in the OE workshop. And likewise with the nominal data that we've added, the nominal measurements on Jaltest will 9 times out of 10 now will always give you the live measurements, but actually, if you look in there, you can pull up desired, required, nominal measurements as well. So you can take it out on a road test and actually see your fuel pressure, but against what it should be. And it all comes back to, if you've worked on DAF for donkey's years, you might know what the fuel pressure should be at all these different tolerances. But actually, now let's throw a Volvo in the mix. Do you know that? I mean. Yeah.
I could tell you now, the low pressure fuel system pressures for DAF should be like 6 to 8 bar at idle or whatever. But if you put me on a Volvo, I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah. And that's where we're filling that void, as you say, of education and giving you the tools necessary to then go and find the issue. Which is great. Are you working on any electric vehicles?
As much as I've been trained by DAF for electric vehicles, and I have been out to a few for DAF aid, for example, because don't get me wrong, everybody's having a stab at EVs at the moment. Yeah. It's not just the manufacturers.
We're one of those.
Well, when I say having a stab, I mean
having a go at it.
I can go and buy a chassis, take the engine out of it, and go to, I don't know, go and buy a Sumo HD electric motor and put a system in it that way, and call himself bloody, you know, whoever manufacturer sort of thing. So there's loads of EV startups at the moment. So there's lots of EVs being brought into the industry. It's, again, just finding people to work on them.
Finding people to work for them and finding where they fit. There's certain scenarios where I think they do fit in quite well, and let's say small couriers or couriers in London, say your DPDs running around London, never getting up to temperature, and so the vehicle can do a regen and etc. I think it's perfect for those. But, you know, will it work on a truck doing however many hundreds of miles a day?
Over the long distance, I don't. I think this whole infrastructure, putting electric power lines in and running them up and down the motorways on mains electricity that way, and then coming off the grid to distribution centres, I think that's a good idea. And I know Germany are trialling that.
Yeah, like a tram line.
Basically.
Like Dad was saying.
Which is great. But obviously, with JCB taking the hydrogen route with internal combustion engines, maybe that's what we'll see. Maybe the electric vehicles or the battery side certainly might be a stopgap to hydrogen, or maybe they'll start using hydrogen to produce electricity and going that way with the motors. It's all a bit up in the air at the moment, and I don't think anybody's willing to put the cards on the table at the moment
and say where it's going to go.
But the government set 2035 for zero emissions, so that's what we've got to work towards, regardless of what system it is. We've all got to adapt and conform with what they've put in front of us, and we need to fix what's broke.
That's where it could be that very challenge that technicians are going to be facing. But what would you say if you were a third-party repairer now? What do you think the biggest challenges a technician is going to be facing in future coming through on these newer vehicles? Is it those telematics, new electronics that are going on these vehicles, or is it?
I don't know if things are going to branch off eventually, where you'll have people who just deal with the telematics side of things,
become more specialised,
or ADAS, because again, certification with that side of things, and what you.
I don't think. Do you need to be accredited on? You don't need to be accredited on the truck side, but perhaps you do on cars for ADAS, to be able to perform that work. Or
where do you think? What do you think leads the industry? Is it cars? Technology that then gets sort of ported to trucks. Are trucks now branching off onto their own sort of tangent of
in some other ways, because there's certain technology that we use on trucks for the nature of the vehicle, the size of the vehicle, the weight, that would never need to go on.
I think it's all down to law and MOT, isn't it? I think to the point when trucks do fail an MOT because of the ADAS system or the lane change having an issue, that's when I think we'll have a categoric that's more important in the workshop, if you like, having the ADAS and the lane change adaptations.
We've been very fortunate that the manufacturers of the likes of the AEBS or lane departure warning system ECUs have been self-calibrating. Yes, there's parameters we need to put in, but we've been very fortunate up to now as an industry that these things will work out distances themselves and go, I'm good, the light's gone off on the dash. But if you take, for example, ADAS, where you've got to set the systems up, if they ever bring that to trucks, then I don't know what it means for the industry in that regards. And obviously having a tool that's capable of doing it is going to be important. And then, having a tool that will do multiple things as opposed to, this is my ADAS tool, this is me lane, you need something that does everything, really.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we've said so many times, but you almost feel guilty calling Jaltest just a diagnostic product because it's so much more than that. We've said it a few times, but you throw in now the AdBlue cleaning kits that Kajali Jaltest have made, and the ADAS rig, as we were talking about, and all the other testing facilities that are constantly getting bolted on, and now there's the ECU test bench. I don't know if you've seen that as well. The SB, I think it's called, being able to plug an ECU in directly onto a test bench and test it all. I mean,
Well, even the rig for the traction gearbox that Kajali Jaltest offer as well for stripping and reassembling.
Yeah.
There's stuff in there that you need to do the job properly, like.
Yeah.
And obviously you could buy it from ZF, if they'd even sell it you.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's other manufacturers out there that offer you the same sort of support for doing repairs, it's brilliant, I think.
Yeah. What's your favourite feature about Jaltest, and what's one feature you would add or change?
Favourite feature about Jaltest? I love that you can just press the VIN identifier. Like I say, 2 clicks, I can tell you what faults are in a truck. It's amazing.
Yeah. Now, are you using that on DAF quite regularly?
Yeah.
Or have you noticed there's certain few manufacturers that it would sort of work, takes you, it's an Iveco or it's a Ford, and then you've got to sort of pick out the one that it is?
I think I've had it with Iveco.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
I think it's just manual data entry. It just takes obviously a long time to add.
Yeah, but you want to make sure it's right. Last thing you want to do is have the wrong information for a diagnosis that you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very easy nowadays. Obviously, you get certain trucks where it is harder, and you get different like Ford Transits and Mercedes Sprinters, where you've got to find out what engine code is and what model number is. But it is getting easier on trucks now, where you're on a Scania. Well, it says R series. Well, what engine is it? Well, it's a 410 because it all says on the front of the truck. So it is fairly easy. But obtained by VIN in commercial vehicle is handy because
it's a time saver, isn't it?
Yeah. Buses, coaches, they're all like kit cars, and when you're able to just hit obtain by VIN, it tells you what make and model it is. Yeah, that's a dream. Yeah.
Improvement wise, I'd like to see CAN topology.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a layout of all the different CAN bus, what ECUs are connected to which CAN bus, and then what the particular ECU, just like we were on about before, that smart air control for DAF might be different on Volvo example, but if I know what systems they're on, then making my life easier because I'm trying to make my diagnosis train of thought easier.
Think sort of watch this space really, because there's certain manufacturers now on the software where it will give you the let's say the CAN network ECUs that are on that system, and it will identify
which network it's on. Yeah.
And then it'll basically identify which ones it's picking up and which ones it's not. Certainly
We'll show you
get
that.
in there on
I will
that.
put a little something on the screen to show people. We did get some people in like the Facebook forums, which I know you're in. What is this new view? I just prefer just to pull up the list of faults.
People don't like change.
Well, just click the list.
Yeah.
Click list. There is actually where you can switch between the two. But yeah, you are right. You get used to a mold of a way of working, and you change that way of working, then you have to adapt. And
but that's something Jaltest's always been good at, is that the main functions or features
Never
have
really
always
changed.
been in the same place. So as much as they tweak the software 3 times a year, it's always been
the same way of working.
The same process, basically.
Yeah,
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big positive feedbacks we get is actually. Well, I mean, we've got customers obviously using it now for like 15 years, and they've used version 7, version 8, version 9 Jaltest systems, but we've had software updates and we've had new looks on there, but the process has been the same, certainly for as long as I can remember now.
I remember Jaltest when it had just a little grey box with a little aerial on the side of it.
That's it.
So.
Now we've got the V9.
And
no more aerial.
That's amazing, that is.
It's good. Really good piece of kit.
The fact it's on Bluetooth as well.
Yes.
Don't get me started with Wi-Fi issues, but the fact it's still doing the jobs that the dealer tools do, but on Bluetooth as opposed to Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I can just go out to a truck in the middle of nowhere and just plug into it.
Well, this is it.
You try identifying a vehicle with DAF with no internet connection.
Yeah.
You've got to do it before you go to the vehicle.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you've got to have the VCI wired to the laptop.
Yeah.
Because you've got no internet. You've got to hotspot your phone.
Oh, it's not Bluetooth. You can't.
No, it's not. It's wired. That's what I'm saying. It's Wi-Fi. It's not Bluetooth.
Oh, right.
It's wired or Wi-Fi. which is great for data transfer.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Because obviously Bluetooth is a slower rate than Wi-Fi. But when you're in the middle of nowhere...
Unless you've got no signal.
Yeah. So, no, Bluetooth is a godsend on that point.
We can quite honestly say it's about 80 metres Bluetooth these days, isn't it? You know, between the test pad and the VCI.
Do you know, we always say, because a lot of the Jaltest programming, a lot of the calibrations, etc., the majority of it, and you really have to look for stuff that are all offline. So there are certain functions where an ex-Mercedes technician, I'm not just using them as an example because I have a specific example, Mercedes, but we have had it where, an ex-OE technician, let's call them an ex-Mercedes technician, have said, well, actually, that's an online function with the dealer tool, and if you're not online, you can't do it. But with Jaltest, it's an offline feature that we've maybe reverse engineered or whatever. Are there many functions that you still need online for programming calibrations coming through, or do you see a lot of it offline? Because, well, that's going to be a big issue because, what's the phone signal like in the UK? It's garbage. It's rubbish. Trying to get data half the time. I can be in central London, my phone still doesn't work. So what's it going to be like when, you're at the side of the road? And I get so many technicians say to me, oh, yeah, well, we went out with the dealer tool, but you can't do that job at the side of the road. It has to go back to the workshop.
Yeah.
And it was just calibration or a program. They found the issue, maybe even can fit the part that they need, but actually can't because it's not something you can do at the side of the road because you need to access the server in Turin or whatever in Italy. So, yeah.
Or even wiring diagrams, you know.
Yeah, of course, yeah. All our wiring diagrams are all offline. So, but eventually... Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when more of this programming goes online for safety reasons, for regulation reasons, or just making sure that you've got a valid license, both the OE and the Jaltest side. It's going to be interesting to see how we cope with that.
In one hand, you need stuff offline.
Yeah.
You need to be able to do things in remote areas, and obviously we've just discussed about the phone signal. But then in the other hand, you've got, if you want the most up-to-date software, the most up-to-date wiring or more in-depth wiring, then it needs to be online.
Yeah.
Or even looking at security gateways and moving into sort of people hacking the CAN on vehicles. You're going to have more and more systems developed to prevent people accessing the vehicle.
Are there any reasons why, other than maybe to create counterfeit software for the vehicles, is there any other reasons why you'd actually want to hack a CAN system on a truck?
I've
asked a stupid question.
I've always questioned this, to be honest. It's like we'll take Cummins Insights on DAF.
Yeah.
You plug it into the engine. You don't go for the OBD. You go for a 4-pin plug on the actual engine harness, for example, to do stuff on there, for example. But I don't really know why. It's not cars.
No.
We're not trying to attempt to steal a car through the bloody LIN bus or CAN bus to the wing mirror, for example, or whatever. But good question.
Why? That's it.
Why are we putting?
Why are we doing it?
Yeah.
So secure gateways. Obviously, we've got Jaltest has got secure gateways, like in the commercial vehicle world. I think like Fiat, the Fiat Chrysler group, Iveco going on there. But you were saying DAF are now rolling out secure gateways, which, to be fair, we've obviously covered before. But they're all going on Jaltest. Jaltest is RP1210 compliant. You can actually use OEM software on your PC on the TestPad Extreme with the Jaltest VCI. You could actually use that as a dealer tool.
I mean,
as a
talking
VCI.
about the future, that's right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything will be online one day. On secure gateways and no further, I suppose.
So if you've got a counterfeit tool, it's not going to last.
I've got a big enough job trying to get people to put crocodile clips from jump packs on the right terminals, and let's not put gateways in the mix as well.
So, well, thank you very much for joining. I don't know if there's anything else you want to ask us, or
is there anything else I want to ask?
We've asked you a lot of questions.
No.
We don't know much, to be fair. So.
Neither do I. I'm not some sort of intelligent person. I'm just able to follow a methodical process of diagnosis that.
Yeah, we're the first sort of technician that we've actually had on.
Well, thank you very much for letting me come on here, to be honest.
Yeah. Where have you travelled from?
North Wales, Wrexham.
How long did that take you?
2 hours, minus the tractors and traffic lights that have stopped me coming up here.
You get that in North Wales.
But no, I'm going to be covering all the UK now, and obviously I'm trying to make my services available to anybody with a DAF. And trying to bring some sort of online sort of booking system to them and where they can just go on to my website, book me for whenever they want, and I'll turn up on that day because that's their day for me to come and fix their truck.
But you also offer a service where they can actually help. You can help them with a particular fault, not necessarily sort of say, do it for them, but
it's pretty much what you offer here. Really, is
the technical support.
I've got a fault code. It may as well be in Dinglish, for example. I don't know what this particular fault is.
And what it means.
Or what it means. Can you help me? And I'm more than happy to help people with what this fault is, or the ways to troubleshoot that. Or
And when you're a DAF specialist, that's
all I do every day anyway. That's what I mean. I've got more than enough time for people who want to learn.
That's it. And with your experience, I'm sure they'll get the answer. So great.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. Well, if you're a DAF operator and you want a good technician, DAFs. I don't know if he's any good, but
well, you can always watch the videos, couldn't they? Watch the videos. And,
Wait, TikTok, YouTube. Is it Truck Tech UK?
Truck Tech UK, Truck Tech UK. Usually you bang that in, you'll either find my website or you'll find my videos, or if you Google a fault with a DAF, I usually come up on there. So
P1081.
P153B or crankcase ventilation unit or whatever else. It's.
Bro.
I'll help anybody. I haven't got a problem with it.
Well, thanks for watching. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching.